A generation of great fortune teller who travels through the early death of the female supporting character in the written text, originally thought she had escaped a disaster. But she didn't expect her fiancé A to be snatched away by the female lead at the beginning. After thinking about it, if the man is gone, he will be gone, as long as his life is still alive. Just as I was about to make an effort to live my life, I realized that my destiny was about to die early anytime, anywhere. It's outrageous. His mother. In order to save herself, she worked hard to stay away from the female and male leads, did good deeds, and studied hard, in order to live a few more years. But various troubles come knocking one after another, strange relatives, Yin and disease Qi. After finally solving these, why should this man with great fortune cling to himself? Hey! That handsome guy, please pay attention to the impact. A certain man. You are. I am a prosperous wife. Keywords of the novel. The age of the goddess. Where's the age of the goddess? In the text, there is no pop-up window for the early death female supporting character, while in the text, the goddess. Where's the age of the goddess? There is no pop-up window for the early death female supporting character. Download the full text of the text, and read the latest chapters for the early death female supporting character in the article. Chapter 1. Traversing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Traversing. Qiao village is a mountain village on the edge of Yinwu city. Although it is called Qiao village, there are not many people with the surname Qiao in the village. Legend has it that Qiao village was built by descendants of the Qiao family in the Three Kingdoms period. Today, there are two most famous girls in Qiao village, nicknamed Shuangqiao, who are the two most beautiful girls in Qiao village. Did you hear that? Old Qiao's two girls jumped into the river. Is it really fake? I just came back from washing clothes in Beha and didn't see it. I've also heard that it's because of the old Sun family's marriage change. That's why the Lao Sun family is not authentic. They were supposed to be betrothed to the second girl from the beginning, but now they're switching to the eldest girl. Isn't this forcing the second girl to die? Not really. But we can't say that the old Sun family is not authentic, and there's nothing we can do about it. After all, the second girl's health is too poor. How could Song Guiyun let her son marry the second girl? She's still waiting to have a grandson, after all, the first girl's but knows it's easy to have children. Sigh. We're all helpless. How's the second girl doing? Is she okay? I saw it hanging, but when I rescued it, I heard I was out of breath. Qiao Muyue opened her eyes and looked at the slightly yellowed mosquito net that had been patched with a few patches of cloth of different colors. The stitches were very dense, indicating that the person who patched it was very attentive. Looking around, there was a mud room covered in white ash. Although it was dilapidated, it was clean and tidy. There was a New Year picture of Fiua laughing on the wall, with Fiua holding a huge carp and writing the words, "Every year has more than 4 words." Next to the New Year picture was a calendar, and the last torn page of the calendar still had a small half left, revealing fine fuzz. The calendar clearly read. April 3, 1982. Qiao Muyue let out a sigh of resignation, knowing that she had traveled through time and had become a cannon fodder female supporting character in an era novel. In this era, the text is called Rebirth in 80s, Spicy Wife Wants to Turn Over. The female protagonist in this article is Qiao Muxin, the cousin of the original owner of Qiao Muyue's body. This cousin is also pitiful. In her previous life, she mistakenly believed in a scumbag, and her family was destroyed by him. In the end, because she couldn't give birth to a boy, she was repeatedly prescribed folk remedies by the scumbag's mother for 5 years, disregarding her body, and was tortured to a bone and bone. Finally, the scumbag found the mistress. Qiao Muxin died of illness in an unpopular room, and after her death, her resentment persisted and she was reborn. In the original text, Qiao Muyue, the original owner, was just cannon fodder in this article, and she died in the first chapter. Qiao Muxin used her experience of rebirth to know that her fiancé Sun Jincheng would become a great leader in the future, so she tried her best to marry Sun Jincheng. Although the two had no emotional connection, through Qiao Muxin's efforts, Sun Jincheng, although saddened by the death of the original owner, slowly accepted Qiao Muxin, and the two were considered harmonious after marriage. Qiao Muxin took advantage of the foresight of rebirth to seize the opportunity and help her family become wealthy. Finally, with the help of Sun Jincheng, she became a nationally renowned female entrepreneur. Not only did she seek revenge, but she also gave birth to a son and a daughter. Both husband and wife were very happy. This is all that Qiao Muye knows. It was because the female supporting cannon fodder had the same name as her that she persisted in reading this article. At that time, she felt that the female lead Qiao Muxin had various calculations. Although she had suffered in her past life, she came back to calculate her own husband and even used her daughter to calculate others. The comment section was full of criticism, but the original author paid no attention. Qiao Muye sighed, thinking that she was a renowned feng shui master across the country. Once she traveled, those car tickets disappeared like this. If she remembered correctly, the original owner should have become cannon fodder offline at this time. Now that she has traveled, will she still be offline? Ji. The door was gently pushed open, and Wu Chuanqin walked in with brown sugar water. Seeing Qiao Muye leaning against the bedside, Wu Chuanqin immediately widened her eyes. You're awake. That's great. You scared Mom to death. As she put down the brown sugar water in her hand, she walked over to Qiao Muye and touched her forehead. Seeing that the fever had subsided, she finally breathed a sigh of relief. Why are you so foolish? Why do you want to die? If you die, I won't live either. Wu Chuanqin wiped away her tears. This daughter was born at the cost of her life, and her health has been poor since childhood. She is a flesh in her heart. If there were any ups and downs, she would really not live. Qiao Muye looked at Wu Chuanqin's expression and felt a wireless sense of grievance in her heart. Tears involuntarily streamed down her face and she said, Mom. Seeing his daughter cry, Wu Chuanqin, who had just stopped her tears, hugged Qiao Muye and said, Mom is here. Mom is here. Sun Jincheng and Song Guiyun are not discerning. Our family has such a good baby. When we take care of ourselves, we can find a better husband in the future. At this moment, Qiao Muye remembered that the original owner had been engaged before. Although there was no formal procedure, it was only verbally stated, but the entire village knew that the engagement target was the male protagonist Sun Jincheng from this era of literature. However, the original owner's health had been poor since childhood, and he fell ill every few days. Therefore, Sun Jincheng's mother, Song Guiyun, particularly did not like the original owner and had been wanting to withdraw. However, Sun Jincheng actually quite liked the original owner. There are two Qiao in this Qiao family village. The eldest Qiao is Qiao Muxin, and the second Qiao is Qiao Muye. They are famous for their beauty, but their situations are completely different. Qiao Muye was born with poor health, and there was a cinnabar mole the size of a mung bean on her eyebrows. The villagers all said that she had committed evil in her previous life and was shot to death. But Qiao Muxin is completely different. She was born in a favorable year, and on that day, there were magpies everywhere in the village, so everyone said that Qiao Muxin's life was definitely good. This is also the reason why scumbags valued her in their previous lives. And Sun Jincheng's mother, Song Guiyun, also values this. She believes that Qiao Muxin's Bazi can definitely prosper her own son. After all, his son is now in the military and will become a high-ranking official in the future. If his wife's Bazi is good, it will definitely drive his son's official career. Therefore, if she is looking for a good life at home, she wants Sun Jincheng to marry Qiao Muxin. Especially yesterday when Sun Jincheng's troops returned from vacation, Song Guiyun cried and fussed at home all day, pulling thick ropes to hang him, which forced Sun Jincheng to let go. The original intention was to ask Sun Jincheng for clarification, but for some reason, he went to the riverbank and Qiao Muyue remembered that the original owner didn't jump into the river by herself. Someone pushed her, and she remembered clearly that someone pushed her into the river from behind. Unfortunately, in her panic, she didn't see who it was. Qiao Muyue's eyes narrowed slightly. Did the female lead Qiao Muxin harm her, or did Sun Jincheng's mother Song Guiyun harm her, or was it Sun Jincheng? Mom. I'm fine now. I'm not looking for a dead end, I slipped and fell into it by the river. Qiao Muyue sorted her mood and quickly said, she doesn't want her mother to worry, nor does she want to be rumored to be a feng shui master who jumped into the river to commit suicide for a man. It's hilarious to hear this spread. Wu Chuanqin put away her tears and looked at her daughter suspiciously, really? Really? Qiao Muyue replied positively. A new book has opened, I hope everyone can collect and support it more. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Open the Eye of Heaven. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Open the Eye of Heaven. Wu Chuanqin breathed a sigh of relief and said, even if it's not jumping into the river, I'll make it clear to you that you want to completely sever ties with Sun Jincheng. The Sun family is bullying people too much. Before Wu Chuanqin could finish speaking, Qiao Muyue obediently nodded. Wu Chuanqin thought her daughter was refusing, but for a moment she didn't react and continued, you listen, Sun Jincheng's mother is really not a good mother. Law. Did you agree? Qiao Muyue took Wu Chuanqin's hand and said, Mom is doing it for my own good. Of course I agreed. Wu Chuanqin is even more strange now. His daughter has always liked Sun Jincheng, why has her attitude changed now? Previously, because Song Guiyun's mother. Law was not good, she even talked to her own daughter about this issue. However, every time her daughter insisted on marrying Sun Jincheng, and they even pushed her hard. Her daughter even secretly wiped her tears in the middle of the night. From then on, they dared not force her, after all, this girl is their flesh and blood. I don't know if my daughter is speaking the other way, but now that her mental state is still good, let's believe it for now. First, drink this brown sugar water. Your brother's stinky guy said he's going to settle accounts with Sun Jincheng. Your dad went after him, so we'll probably have to wait a while and come back. We'll have dinner when they come back. Wu Chuanqin picked up brown sugar water and scooped a spoonful, handing it to Qiao Muyue's mouth. Qiao Muyue took a sip, and the sweet taste of brown sugar water spread in her mouth, making her heart also sweet. Passing the piano. Is second girl awake? A slightly aged voice sounded at the door, followed by an old woman wearing a gray-blue cotton jacket walking in. Qiao Muyue immediately recognized that this was Grandma Wu next door, who was married to her mother from the Wu family village, so their relationship was particularly good. They were also very kind to Qiao Muyue, quietly giving her any candies or pastries. Grandma Wu's husband left early, and her only son was abducted by human traffickers when he was 5 years old. Grandma Wu searched for more than 10 years but couldn't find him. In the end, she accepted her fate. She is now in her 60s, and the only way to support her is to wait at the village entrance every day, hoping that her son can come back. Aunt Wu. Why are you here? You've been feeling unwell these days, so you should rest more. Wu Chuanqin put down the brown sugar water and welcomed her. Grandma Wu took out her hand behind her back and lifted a chicken in her hand, saying, give Miss Yu some body repair. How can this work? You just rely on this chicken to lay eggs and support your family. How can you feed Yuer? Wu Chuanqin pretended to be angry and pushed back. Grandma Wu was also angry and said, my old lady is just a hen. If you don't want it, I won't come to your house again, and I won't ask your big forest to make the roof for me. Let me rain and get soaked to death. Wu Chuanqin was speechless. Qiao Muyue chuckled, and Grandma Wu was also an old mischievous child. Okay. Can't I still do it if I want it? Wu Chuanqin took the hen from Grandma Wu's hand and planned to secretly send it back in a few days. Seeing Wu Chuanqin pick up the chicken, Grandma Wu smiled and looked at Qiao Muyue sitting on the bed. How is Miss Yu? Qiao Muyue looked at Grandma Wu with a smile and said, I'm fine. Grandma Wu, come sit down. Grandma Wu looked at the smiling Qiao Muyue and couldn't help but laugh along. She had always liked the second daughter of the Qiao family, who was obedient and clever, especially when she smiled so beautifully. The young men in the village really liked her. If it weren't for this physical burden, they would definitely find a better man than Sun Jincheng, that bastard. Let your mother stew the chicken later. Grandma fed this chicken by catching grasshoppers, and the stew soup is the most nourishing. Drink more, don't let your brother drink it, you need to take good care of your body. Qiao Muyue nodded obediently, feeling the old man's concern for her in front of her. That bastard from the Sun family is blind to gold and jade. If you find a better one, it will anger Song Guiyun. Grandma Wu walked to the bedside and sat next to Qiao Muyue, saying. Qiao Muyue had no choice but to hear this tone. Everyone felt that she jumped into the river because of Sun Jincheng. She wanted to explain, but just as she looked up at Grandma Wu, she was startled. Grandma Wu's eyebrows were filled with a black aura. Is this a serious illness? Seeing Qiao Muyue stunned, Grandma Wu thought she remembered Sun Jincheng and cursed herself for being too talkative. She stood up and said, I'll go back first, there's still water boiling in the pot. Don't wait until it dries up. Wu Chuanqin stepped forward to bid farewell to the person, and Qiao Muyue regained her senses. She seemed to know why the original owner had been in poor health. She had just discovered that the original owner had a congenital eye, and the cinnabar mole in the center of her eyebrows was due to the opening of the eye. The original owner had been in poor health because of his insight into the world's disease, yin, and filth. After seeing off Grandma Wu, Wu Chuanqin caught the hen with a chicken cover, sprinkled some rice and put a bowl of water inside the cover. Stinky kid. I can't beat you, but I don't know how to avoid it. If you insist on fighting someone, will it be embarrassing to throw it away now? Qiao Muyue heard a sound coming from outside the house, and it was her father Qiao Guiyun who came back to suppress her brother Qiao Muyun. As soon as they entered the room, they saw Qiao Muyue, who had already woken up, and both of them walked over excitedly. Sister. You finally woke up, I'm so worried about you. Qiao Muyun said with a grin on her face. It was only then that Qiao Muyue realized that her brother seemed to have been beaten, with a bruise on the corners of her mouth and forehead. Brother. Did you get beaten? Qiao Muyue asked. Qiao Muyun let out a strange cry, don't talk nonsense, I'm going to hit someone. Wu Chuanqin heard Qiao Muyue's voice in the kitchen and quickly walked over, saying, what's going on? How did you get beaten? Did the Sun family take action? This is too much bullying. As he spoke, he approached Qiao Muyun to see his face. Qiao Guiyun said with a resentful tone, it's not that he's going to beat Sun Jincheng, but Sun Jincheng is a soldier. How could he beat him? He didn't hit anyone, and he even fell and ate shit. Wu Chuanqin couldn't help but laugh and cry at the words, wanting to curse a few words. However, looking at his son's blue and purple forehead, he could only lightly pat his back and said, go wash and eat, and I'll have your father take out the medicine for you to wipe later. Qiao Muyun was not convinced and said, I didn't hit hard. If I really did, I would definitely beat up that kid Sun Jincheng. Qiao Guiyun scolded, besides fighting, what else would you do? If you don't study hard and don't even look for a job, if it weren't for the sake of venting your anger on Yuer, I would have killed you today. Humph. I can still make a name for myself without going to school. Qiao Muyun retorted. Qiao Guiyun rolled up his sleeves and was about to teach his son a lesson. Wu Chuanqin beside him quickly advised, all right. My son is injured, go and get the medicine. Speaking, he pushed Qiao Guiyun to the inner room. Qiao Muyun looked at his sister as if seeking help and said, I'm serious. Qiao Muyue nodded and said, I believe it. She did believe that this older brother had a flawless nose, flesh on his cheekbones, and eyebrows that met but did not scatter, making him a symbol of great wealth and wealth. My younger sister is still the best. Qiao Muyun received recognition and immediately smiled, saying that he was about to come forward and pinch Qiao Muyue's face. However, when Wu Chuanqin saw him coming out, he immediately slapped his hand and pushed him out. I knew you were bullying your younger sister. Look at your achievements, you have the ability to hit Sun Jincheng. I'll go tomorrow, said Qiao Muyun. If you have the ability, go now. Let him go today. Tomorrow they will return to the army. Then wait until he comes back next time to fight. Listening to her mother and brother arguing, Qiao Muyue felt quite happy. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Grandma Wu's Disease. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Grandma Wu's Disease. At night, Qiao Muyue tossed and turned in bed. During the day, Grandma Wu's illness had already reached the center of her eyebrows. If not expected, something might happen tonight. She carefully got up and went to the main room. Through the crack in the door, she saw a faint light in her parents' room. She approached carefully and heard their voices coming from inside. When I came back today, Jincheng stopped me and told me that my family Yuer would wait for him for 3 years. He said that he had been admitted to the military academy and could be promoted after he went to the military academy. Then he would try to persuade his mother to remarry with our family Yuer. He said very sincerely. Fart it. Yuer was born at all costs of my life. We are afraid of melting when we hold her in our mouths and falling when we hold her in our hands. It's not for him to waste it. Let him die. Yuer is not rare in our family. Good you, Qiao Guiyun, you rotten heart. If you dare to agree, I will take Yuer back to my mother's house tomorrow. Don't be angry. Didn't I agree to this? I just feel sorry for our Yuer. She likes Sun Jincheng so much, and our village really only has Sun Jincheng as a promising young man. If he really convinces Song Guiyun, wouldn't that be great? It's only 3 years, and Yuer is still in school now, so there's no need to worry about these 3 years. Not rare. My Yuer can find a better one in the future. Your elder brother's family is already bullying our Yuer by marrying Lady Xian to Sun Jincheng, and you are also bullying your own daughter. Do you have the heart, Qiao Guiyun? I was wrong. I was wrong. Don't cry. Our family is not getting married, I will definitely make good money and let you two live a good life. Qiao Muyue vaguely heard her mother's crying and her father's soothing voice. She felt a bit helpless. Sun Jincheng was the male lead, and Qiao Muxin was the female lead. She was just an early death supporting actress, and she didn't want to provoke the male and female leads. Now she still wants to live her life well. She hasn't found the person who wanted to kill her yet, and because she has a blind eye, her health is too poor. If she doesn't find a way to recuperate, she will also die early. She doesn't have the energy to deal with Sun Jincheng. Thinking of this, Qiao Muyue took a light step and arrived at the chicken coop by the side of the main house. The hen sent by Grandma Wu was still lying inside. The hen inside the coop heard the commotion and immediately became impatient, flapping its wings inside and making a popping sound. She lifted the small stool above the chicken hood, and the hen inside flew out immediately. Qiao Muyue walked to the door and opened the small door hole below it. The moonlight outside shone through the small door hole, and the hen saw the bright light and made a gurgling sound before rushing out. Qiao Muyue hurriedly walked into her room and covered the door. The movement of the hen immediately caught the attention of her parents, and then she heard her mother Wu Chuanqin's voice. Guiyun. Hurry up and come out to catch the chicken, this hen has rushed out of the chicken cover. Xiao Muyue pretended to push open the door and walked to the main room. Mom. What's wrong? As soon as Wu Chuanqin saw his daughter, he immediately said, You hurry inside and lie down. You're not in good health. What if you catch a cold? It's the chicken sent by your grandmother Wu that ran away. I'll go find your father to catch it. During the conversation, Qiao Guiyun also put on her clothes and walked out. Listen to your mother, go lie down quickly. I'll go in a while, but will Grandma Wu's chicken run home? Dad, you can go directly to Grandma Wu's place to ask. I guess Grandma Wu hasn't slept yet at this point. Wu Chuanqin nodded and said, Yuer is right. I'll go with you. As he spoke, he put on his clothes and took out a flashlight. The two of them walked towards Grandma Wu's house, while Qiao Muyue guarded the front door, looking in the direction of Grandma Wu's house and thinking to herself. Normally, it should be around now. Sure enough, in no time, Qiao Muyue saw her mother running back and saying, Yuer. Your grandmother Wu has fainted. Your father and I will take her to the town hospital. Please close the door and don't come out. Without waiting for Qiao Muyue to react, she hurriedly ran away. Qiao Muyue fastened the latch of the front door and lay back in bed, feeling a bit worried about Grandma Wu. She hoped that Grandma Wu could make it through. If she could survive this disaster, the future would be smooth. Although her life was tough, there would definitely be a turning point in the next 2 years, because Grandma Wu's appearance showed that there was a bond between children and grandchildren, and she would have the joy of having children and grandchildren around her knees in her later years. It was not until the second half of the night that Qiao Muyue fell asleep. When she woke up again, she had seen her mother sweeping the floor in the main room. She dressed and came out. Her mother was carrying out congee and pickles, and her eyes were a little dark. It was obvious that she had not slept all night. How is Grandma Wu doing? Qiao Muyue asked. Wu Chuanqin quickly filled Qiao Muyue with congee. The doctor said that there was some stroke. Fortunately, they sent it in time, otherwise they would go. Hurry up and eat while it's hot, Mom will have to bring some food to your Grandma Wu later. Qiao Muyue took the chopsticks handed over by Wu Chuanqin and breathed a sigh of relief in her heart. Where's Dad? Your dad is still guarding over there, I'll go over and replace him later. While talking, Wu Chuanqin took a few mouthfuls of congee, and then directly took a few mouthfuls of it, put down the dishes and chopsticks. You go to rest after eating, and put the dishes and chopsticks away, and wash them when Mom comes back to cook at noon. Wu Chuanqin then went out with congee. When Qiao Muyue heard that Grandma Wu was fine, she felt much better. She even ate one more bowl of congee. After breakfast, she washed the pots and bowls, and poured all the washed water into the yard. The chickens in the yard flapped their wings and pulled the pan water to find rice. Is there anyone at home? While Qiao Muyue was tidying up in the kitchen, she heard a sound coming from the yard. She put down her broom and walked out. There is. Looking clearly at the people in the yard, Qiao Muyue's eyebrows furrowed slightly. It was Sun Jincheng. Although she has met many handsome guys, Qiao Muyue has to admit that this Sun Jincheng is indeed good. She has thick eyebrows and big eyes, a straight body, and a height of around 180, combined with a military uniform, which is particularly handsome. No wonder the female protagonist of this book, Qiao Muxin, will go to great lengths to marry Sun Jincheng, and no wonder the original owner of her body likes Sun Jincheng so much. Sun Jincheng looked at Qiao Muyue and his eyes lit up. Yuer. Are you okay? I heard you fell into the water yesterday and was very worried, so I came to see you early this morning. Qiao Muyue smiled slightly and said, That's really worrying. I only came over today after knowing yesterday. Perhaps Sun Jincheng likes Qiao Muyue, but he doesn't like her that much. It's really not worth it for the original owner. I'm fine. Sun Jincheng hurriedly walked over and reached out to grab Qiao Muyue's hand. Qiao Muyue took a few steps back to avoid it. Sun Jincheng was taken aback and said, Are you angry? You are already getting engaged to my cousin, so it's appropriate to avoid suspicion. Sun Jincheng looked hurt upon hearing this and said, I like you, but I don't like your cousin. It's all my mom who forced me to do it. She's holding a rope and wants to hang herself, and I really can't do anything about it. Qiao Muyue sneered in her heart, so I have to forgive you. And then say I'm waiting for you. I still have to cook. If you're okay, brother.in.law, go back first. The nickname, brother.in.law, made Sun Jincheng look at Qiao Muyue with an incredulous expression. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Qiao Muxin. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 4 Qiao Muxin. Don't be angry. I promise you, as long as you wait for me for 3 years, I will definitely marry you. Sun Jincheng thought Qiao Muyue was angry, so he called him brother.in.law. As she spoke, she came up again to pull Qiao Muyue. Qiao Muyue's eyebrows furrowed slightly, and her smile narrowed slightly. She avoided her and was ready to explain it clearly to him. I am no longer the same Qiao Muyue as before. It used to be that I was too young to be sensible. Although our families said we were going to get engaged, neither of us was officially engaged, so we have no relationship. Now that you and your cousin are about to get engaged, I sincerely wish you all the best. Since you are already my cousin's unmarried husband, let's not talk about the past. Sun Jincheng shook his head. He didn't believe that Qiao Muyue was telling the truth and only thought it was an angry remark, so he quickly explained, This engagement doesn't count, and I'm not familiar with Qiao Muxin. Don't misunderstand. Sun Jincheng was about to say more when a broom came straight over and Sun Jincheng dodged. Qiao Muyun missed a single blow and waved his broom again before coming up. How dare you come to find my sister? Do you really think I'm a dead person? Sun Jincheng avoided and quickly explained, I really like you. Can you ask me to say a few words to you? Upon hearing this, Qiao Muyun's face became even worse and he pounced directly. Qiao Muyue also frowns. Sun Jincheng is really ungrateful. If he likes the original owner, he should deal with his mother Song Guiyun, instead of coming to ask her to wait for 3 years. What if she waited for 3 years? Can Song Guiyun still fail in 3 years? While getting engaged to the female lead, she also came to provoke her own supporting role. Especially since everyone is from the countryside, now that things are going on like this, those 3 aunties and 6 grandmothers must be watching jokes outside, and there will be various gossip when they turn around. If it were the original owner, perhaps they would really go into the river. Qiao Muyue walked into the kitchen and poured a basin of water directly at Sun Jincheng, making him a drowned rat. Qiao Muyun let out a strange cry to avoid boiling water, and then laughed loudly, Sister did a beautiful job. Sun Jincheng. Are you trying to force me to die? If you keep causing trouble, are you trying to make the whole village laugh at me? Or do you want your mother to come and make a scene with me? Where did you put my cousin's face now? Qiao Muyue sternly scolded. Sun Jincheng was wet all over. When he heard Qiao Muyue's words, a hint of injury flashed in his eyes and he sighed, Believe it or not, I only want you. After speaking, he turned around and left. Qiao Muyue breathed a sigh of relief, and Qiao Muyun stepped forward and said, Sister. Don't be sad, wait for brother to find you a better one. Qiao Muyue smiled and said, I'm fine. Brother, you're back just in time. Hurry up and start the fire, I need to cook. It takes an hour and a half to travel from Qiaojia village to the town hospital, and Kayamuyu is preparing to cook her own lunch and deliver it to her mother to avoid her fatigue. All right. Qiao Muyun chuckled and let out yesterday's anger, feeling much better. Good things don't go out, bad things spread far and wide. Just as Qiao Muyue started cooking, it spread throughout the village. At the east end of Qiao village, Chen Chuiying heard those gossip, especially the mocking and insinuating remarks from the villagers, which made her feel frustrated. She spat fiercely, realizing that the Sun family is really ungrateful. Since they are getting engaged to their own daughter and even going to provoke the second family, they are truly shameless. If it weren't for Sun Jincheng's good looks or serving in the army, she would never have wanted this marriage. Returning home, Chen Chuiying fiercely put down the vegetable basket and shouted to the inner room, "Big girl. Come out and pick the vegetables." Xiao Muxin walked out of the inner room with an impatient expression on her face and said, "I still have to do my homework. You let my brother pick vegetables. My mother values men over women too much, treating her like grass, and my younger brother Qiao Muhua like eyeballs." Chen Chuiying fiercely put down the water gourd and said, "What book are you reading as a girl? Just recognize a few words. Your younger brother needs to study hard and go to college. As a girl, you should prepare well for getting married." Xiao Muxin was too lazy to argue. In her past life, she had already seen clearly that these parents valued sons over daughters. She walked directly into the inner room and locked the door. She was not the one who did household chores. In this life, she must study hard and be a good person. Chen Chuiying saw her daughter enter the inner room directly, and her anger erupted outside. She went straight to the inner room and slammed the door, saying, "You stinky girl. You're lying in a mess with me. You have the ability to seduce Sun Jincheng's heart. What's the use of playing with those books all day? If you turn around, your partner will run away with someone else." This daughter used to be obedient and clever, making her face east and afraid to go west. "I don't know what's going on these days, but I feel like she's changed, facing everything she says." Xiao Muxin pushed open the door and looked coldly at Chen Chuiying. "What did you say?" Chen Chuiying was startled by her daughter's cold gaze and unconsciously said, "Tell me your partner ran away with someone. What's wrong with Sun Jincheng?" Xiao Muxin remembered that Sun Jincheng should have returned to the army today. At this point, Chen Chuiying immediately became angry and said, "What else can we do? I went to find the girl from the second family early in the morning, but the leader of the second family couldn't even drive her away with a broom. I've lost my face, and I have to blame you for marrying Sun Jincheng. There's still no one else in the 10 miles and 8 towns. Staring at a man from the old Sun family, what kind of good mother-in-law is Song Guiyun? I'm so angry." Xiao Muyue. Xiao Muxin quickly found the key point. Xiao Muyue didn't die. Chen Chuiying said angrily, "I'm not dead. I'm still cooking at home, and I don't know what's wrong with the second family. They went to take care of Wu Pozi early in the morning, making it difficult for you to find anyone on your milk side. You're so angry that you're taking care of me." Xiao Muxin was surprised again and said, "Grandma Wu hasn't died either." Chen Chuiying reached out and poked Xiao Muxin's forehead, saying, "Are you foolish enough to read? You're not dead, you're all fine. Wu Pozi was taken to the hospital, but you're not dead either." Xiao Muxin felt a huge wave in her heart, not caring at all about Chen Chuiying poking her finger. How could she not have died? She clearly remembered that both of these people had died in their previous lives, and died on the same day. Xiao Muyue fell into the water and fell ill for a night before dying. Grandma Wu also died at home the next day. The village even said that Xiao Muyue did not have good handwriting and took away the people around her. She originally thought that because of Xiao Muyue's death, Sun Jincheng would accept her fate and get engaged to her. How could she not have died? Why would it be different? Is it because I have been reborn, causing significant changes? Xiao Muxin was a bit scared. She put down the book in her hand and walked out of the house. Seeing is believing, she wanted to go see if Xiao Muyue really didn't die. "You dead girl. Where are you running? Hurry up and pick the vegetables." Chen Chuiying shouted at Xiao Muxin's back. But Xiao Muxin didn't hear anything at all, and rushed out of the yard in the blink of an eye. Chen Chui stamped her feet in anger. This daughter is really unjust. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Hospital Yin Qi. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 5. Hospital Yin Qi. Qiao Mue carried several aluminum boxes, wrapped them in cloth, and held them in her arms. Inside was the lunch she had prepared. In order to avoid the food from getting cold, she walked quickly. It was 2 to 3 kilometers from Qiao's village to the town hospital. Although the distance was not very far, Qiao Mue's health was not good, so she was tired and panting a bit. Qiao Mue arrived at the hospital and was about to ask a nurse about Grandma Wu's ward when she saw her father walking down the stairs on the second floor. "Dad!" Qiao Mue shouted. Upon hearing his daughter's voice, Qiao Guiyun looked over in surprise and said, "Why did you come to the hospital? Hurry up and go home." Qiao Mu's moon lit up the lunch box in her hand and said, "I've made food for you. You child." Qiao Guiyun walked over and wiped the sweat off Qiao Mue's forehead. "You're not in good health, how could you come to the hospital?" "I'm afraid it's hard for my mom to cook back and forth, and I also want to come and see Grandma Wu," Qiao Mue said. Looking at his sensible daughter, Qiao Guiyun looked relieved and said, "Then go and deliver the food first, and I'll ride your bike back later." Qiao Mue nodded. Upon arriving at the ward, Qiao Mue saw her mother at the innermost corner at a glance. She quickly walked over and saw her mother wiping Grandma Wu's hands with water. Grandma Wu had already woken up and was talking to her mother. "Mom! It's time to eat." Qiao Mue walked over and said. "Why did you come? Hurry up and go home." Wu Chuanqin looked surprised when she saw Qiao Mue. Qiao Mue also understood that because the original owner was in poor health, and every time the original owner came home from the hospital, he would fall seriously ill, so his parents were shocked and they saw Qiao Mue coming to the hospital. "I made some food to bring to you and Grandma Wu." Qiao Mue handed over the lunchbox. Wu Chuanqin took it and said, "Then let's put it down and leave. Your body has finally improved a bit, don't stay in the hospital." Qiao Mue nodded and looked at Grandma Wu on the hospital bed. "Grandma Wu. How are you?" Grandma Wu's face was pale, and her lips were still a bit blue and purple. After just one night's hard work, her cheeks had become slightly sunken, but her condition was okay. When she saw Qiao Mue, she could still recognize her and say, "Moon has arrived." "Grandma, I'm fine." The old lady walked around the Yanwang Palace and came back. Qiao Mue looked at Grandma Wu's eyebrows and found that she was no longer sick. Although her complexion was not good, she managed to pass this level. "Grandma, you must live for a long time. You are so healthy. I cooked congee. I'm afraid you put some brown sugar in your mouth." Grandma Wu smiled and said, "What a well-behaved girl." Wu Chuanqin stepped forward and said, "Your grandmother Wu is not strong right now. After you finish reading, you can leave. Later, let your father ride a bike and take you back. Don't cook dinner, wait for me to do it at home." Qiao Mue nodded. She came to the hospital for 2 purposes, one was to deliver food and the other was to see Grandma Wu. Now that Grandma Wu is fine, she feels at ease. I know. Mom, try the dishes I made." As soon as Qiao Mue finished speaking, she saw a black figure drifting in from the hallway, circling around the ward before running out. Her face changed slightly. Wu Chuanqin saw his daughter's face change and quickly asked, "Are you feeling unwell?" "I said, don't come to the hospital, don't come to the hospital." Qiao Mue quickly said, "It's okay. Mom. Don't worry." After speaking, he moved his hands and said, "My body is much better." Seeing this, Wu Chuanqin felt slightly relieved and then looked at her husband Qiao Guiyun beside her, saying, "You have to take your daughter home. We'll go together tonight about your parents' matter. Qiao Guiyun nodded and said, I know. Anyway, I don't agree, we must wait for me to go back and discuss together. Your parents have always been leaning towards the boss, and this time it's up to me not to share the land, so they won't come to us for retirement in the future. Wu Chuanqin cautioned anxiously. Qiao Guiyun nodded repeatedly and said, Don't worry. I will definitely wait for you to come over together. Before Qiao Muyue took advantage of her parents' conversation and walked to the hallway, she didn't see the black shadow too clearly, so she wanted to see it again. When she arrived at the hallway, she saw the black shadow rampaging in the hallway, and this time she completely confirmed. To verify her hypothesis, she quickened her steps and walked in the opposite direction of the dark shadow. Sure enough, in the innermost room, she heard crying. Mom! Why didn't you wait for me? That's all. Mom! Two nurses are talking to each other in front of the door. This old lady is also unlucky. Although she has started to improve, she didn't expect it to deteriorate suddenly. The family has spent a lot of money, which is actually a good thing. This disease cannot be cured, and they have been dragging themselves to suffer, and the family has also been dragged down. Sigh. It's just pity for her daughter. She borrowed a lot of money to treat her mother. This time, she's running out of money. This daughter was just borrowing money outside and didn't even have time to see her mother for the last time. Qiao Muyue also felt a pang of sadness as she listened. Yue. Why are you running around? Come back with me. Qiao Guiyun finished speaking to his wife and found that his daughter had already left. It took him a long time to find her, and as soon as he arrived at the door, he saw someone passing away. He quickly called for his daughter to leave. I'm afraid this kind of thing will bring bad luck, especially if my daughter's health is not good enough. If we collide, it won't be good. Qiao Muyue nodded and obediently followed her father downstairs. She then watched as her father rode his 28 bicycles to the garage, rubbed against the back seat, and hugged her father's waist. Finally, she glanced at the second floor of the hospital. Qiao Muyue's heart was slightly heavy, no wonder the original owner didn't live long. It was really the eye of heaven that caused trouble. Today's black energy was clearly Yin Qi, which formed after death. Generally, this Yin Qi dissipates quickly. If someone with poor health collides with Yin Qi, they may have a minor illness. If someone with strong health only feels a chill. The original owner was already in poor health, and every time he came home from the hospital, he fell seriously ill, which must have been a collision of Yin energy. This is still a weak Yin Qi. If the Yin Qi is strong enough, it can affect the living, and this type will be called ghosts, which is generally rare. Opening the heavenly eye is very damaging to the foundation, especially for those who can see Yin energy. Even Qiao Muyue in her previous life could only have this level of heavenly eye for a moment after casting a spell. This is still due to her exceptional talent. Some people who learn the Dharma cannot do it for a lifetime. So it can be imagined how unique this kind of celestial eye is, but there are advantages and disadvantages. This kind of celestial eye causes great harm to the body, so most people who have this kind of celestial eye are extremely lucky. Thinking of this, Qiao Muyue was even more distressed. After finally crossing the border, could she soon receive a boxed meal? She needs to find a way, she doesn't want to die anymore. If she can't cross the river next time, then it's really GG. Along the way, Qiao Muyue was thinking about things. Qiao Guiyun thought her daughter was scared in the hospital and didn't speak. She just pedaled her bike harder and wanted to take her home early to rest. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Song Guiyun visits the door. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Song Guiyun visits the door. Upon returning home, Xiao Mu's moon nest entered the room, and her mind was filled with memories of the mystical knowledge she had learned in her previous life. She remembered her master saying that someone who had the eye of heaven and was blessed by heaven would inevitably be envied by heaven, so they generally would not live to adulthood. Now Qiao Mue's body is already 16 years old. In the original work, she died at the age of 16. Because she traveled through time, she interrupted this life cycle and extended her lifespan. However, this life cycle will definitely disappear at the age of 18 at most, and the only way is to change it against the heavens. Changing one's destiny against the heavens is not a small matter. After thinking about it, Qiao Mue seemed to have only two options, one is to borrow luck and the other is to increase luck. The so-called called borrowing luck refers to finding a person with good fortune to marry, and as a couple, they can use each other's fortune to change their destiny and extend their lifespan. This has little impact on oneself, but it can have a certain impact on the other party, and even lead to death. Unless absolutely necessary, Qiao Mue would not choose this method, and this kind of person with good fortune is not so easy to find. It's really rare. As for increasing luck, it is easy to understand that it means increasing one's own fortune to extend one's lifespan. Therefore, in ancient times, there was a saying that doing good deeds and accumulating virtues is the simplest way to increase luck. Although doing good deeds and accumulating virtues may be helpful to Qiao Mue, they are also very limited. Unless it is a one-time aid to the people, it is really a drop in the bucket, after all, this fate of jealousy. However, Qiao Mue came up with another way to increase her fortune, which is to increase her cultural fortune. By accumulating cultural fortune from one city and one province, she can change her destiny. In ancient times, there was a saying about the Wensu star, which means that the celestial constellation would accumulate cultural fortune and ascend to the immortal realm. Qiao Mue's idea was to become a top scorer in the city or even a provincial official, so using cultural fortune to change her destiny may be feasible. Qiao Mue picked up the textbook on the desk. The original owner often took leave due to poor health, and her grades were naturally not good. She sighed and could only work twice as hard. In order to survive, let's start studying tonight. Guiyun. Where is Yuer? Wu Chuanqin asked when he returned from the hospital. While resting in the room, the hospital seems to be feeling a bit uncomfortable when they see someone passing away and come back, said Qiao Guiyun. Wu Chuanqin immediately became nervous. She was afraid that her daughter would have an accident, so she fed Aunt Wu and rushed back. As soon as she was about to visit her daughter, she saw the door open and Qiao Mue walked out on her own. Mom! Are you back? Wu Chuanqin looked around and said, Are you okay? Qiao Mue smiled and said, It's okay. Wu Chuanqin felt relieved and then prepared to cook. Qiao Mue smiled and prepared to take action. Thinking of a way to prolong her life, she felt much better. The mother and daughter arrived at the kitchen, and just as Qiao Mue was about to start a fire, she heard curses coming from outside. Wu Chuanqin. Qiao Guiyun. Qiao Mue. You guys come out of here. I'm quite capable of hooking up with my son. How can I hide now? He's such a fickle person. Fortunately, he's not engaged, otherwise what will happen in the future? Why didn't he drown while jumping into the river? I have a poor health and died early. Why did you come to flirt with my son? Do you have this good fortune with your 3 or 2 weight bones? Wu Chuanqin forcefully put down the water ladle, his face turning pale. The cursed voice was very familiar, and it was Song Guiyun, the mother of Sun Jincheng. Wu Chuanqin nervously looked at her daughter, afraid that she would be half angry when she heard these dirty words, but she didn't expect her daughter to look at her with a smile on her face and say, Mom. I'm fine. Qiao Mue is really okay. She really doesn't have much to do with such a troublesome woman. Wu Chuanqin finally breathed a sigh of relief. Since her daughter fell into the water, she has become more cheerful and energetic. You wait. Look at your mother, I'll clean up this damn mouth. After Wu Chuanqin finished speaking, he rolled up his sleeves and carried a basin of water before leaving. Qiao Mue followed with a smile. Song Guiyun stood outside the yard, pinching her waist and cursing. She was even more proud of the sight of many neighbors gathered around her. Her son's reputation could not be tarnished, but he was going to become a high-ranking official. Unexpectedly, when he came to Qiao Muyue's house this morning, he was splashed with water. It was rumored in the village that he had been persistently beating and being splashed with water by Qiao Muyue, causing her to lose face. Today, she must retrieve the venue and let everyone know that it was Qiao Muyue who colluded with her son, not her son who rushed to come. The door of Qiao's yard creaked open, and Song Guiyun knew that someone had come out. She immediately prepared to continue cursing, but before she could open her mouth, a basin of water poured out from inside, drenching her like a drowned rat. The onlookers burst into laughter. "Get lost." Wu Chuanqin walked out with a basin in hand. Song Guiyun went crazy with anger all of a sudden, and she pounced loudly. Wu Chuanqin was not an easy person to provoke. When others said she smiled a few times, she passed by, but she couldn't say that she was from Yuer's family. When Song Guiyun pounced, she slapped her face in the face. Song Guiyun was suddenly blinded by the basin and felt his entire face numb. Song Guiyun. "You crazy barking dog, if you dare to say a bad word about my postpartum child, I will directly strip you alive," Wu Chuanqin said coldly. Qiao Muyue was dumbfounded as she watched from behind. Mom is really fierce. Half of her face is probably swollen from this wash basin. Song Guiyun was startled by Wu Chuanqin's glare, feeling a bit panicked. If the force was not enough, she could only throw a tantrum. She immediately sat down on the ground, pulling her hair in a mess and said, "Murder. Murder. Qiao's daughter is colluding with someone, and she wants to kill someone and silence them." Wu Chuanqin was so angry that he grabbed the slightly deformed basin and threw it over. Song Guiyun let out a strange cry and jumped up directly. "Are you really going to kill someone? If you force my daughter to die, I'll play my life with you," Wu Chuanqin said fiercely. Song Guiyun hid in the crowd and said loudly, "It's also your girl's fault for colluding with people. My son is getting engaged soon, she's not behaving properly. That was also your son's doorstep. My daughter is beautiful and there are a lot of people queuing up. What do you think your son is such a sweet potato?" Seeing Song Guiyun hiding behind the onlookers, Wu Chuanqin couldn't hit anyone and could only curse along. "My son has already been admitted to the military academy. After 3 years of graduation, he will be promoted to a higher position. Even the daughter of a leader can marry, and he still looks up to your sick child." Song Guiyun looked proud. Humph. His feet are growing on him, and he doesn't want it himself. Can we still suppress him to come to our family's Yuer? If your own son is not useful, don't blame my daughter. Song Guiyun was half dead in anger, and this son was not worthy of it. Qiao Muyue felt that continuing to curse was meaningless. She couldn't figure out who would win or lose, and after all this fuss, could Sun Jincheng not know? This Sun Jincheng is indeed not a very good match. She walked out of the yard and looked at Song Guiyun, saying, "Auntie Song, why don't you go home early? Keep up the trouble, both families have no face." The onlookers saw Qiao Muyue Shishiren standing at the door, wearing 2 fried dough twists braids and a simple dacron jacket. She looked more beautiful than other girls in the village, especially those eyes. She seemed to be able to talk. I don't know whether it was because she was more refined than usual. Today's Qiao Muyue is more beautiful than ever. A few young men were stunned, even Song Guiyun had to admit that Qiao Muyue was indeed good looking. Wu Chuanqin stepped forward and pushed Qiao Muyue back. His daughter, Qian Zhu Wan Gui, was so precious that Song Guiyun, a shrew, could not have met her. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Go to the Ancestral Mansion and take a look. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Go to the Ancestral Mansion and take a look, who has no face on earth. It's not that you have no face. My great man from Jincheng is going to do big things in the future, said Song Guiyun. Qiao Muyue said, I have already made it clear to Sun Jincheng that in the future, he will be him and I will be me. We have no relationship at all, and no one will be delayed in getting married. What benefits can you get from having a scene? He has been admitted to a military academy, which is good. If you continue to stir up trouble, public institutions will come to inspect his character and know that he is promiscuous. If he withdraws from his sister and then engages with her, what benefits do you think? If you continue to stir up trouble, it would be better if everyone knows about it. You. Song Guiyun suddenly fell silent. How could this girl be so eloquent? Fortunately, she wasn't engaged to her, otherwise she wouldn't have been able to suppress her marriage. She must have learned from her mother Wu Chuanqin. You know how to make a fuss. Go home and cook for me. A big man rushed out of the crowd. It was Sun Xiang, the father of Sun Jincheng, who rushed out with a shoulder pole. Song Guiyun let out a strange cry and ran away. Sun Xiang looked at Wu Chuanqin and Qiao Muyue and said, Miss Wu, I'm really sorry. Our mother-in-law is just confused. Don't take it amiss. Wu Chuanqin smiled and said, It's okay, it's okay. Qiao Muyue smiled but remained silent. Sun Xiang had been in the crowd for a long time, watching the excitement all along. He only came out until it had an impact on his son's future. Otherwise, he would have been watching the excitement inside, not a good person. After Sun Xiang finished speaking, he smiled and hurriedly chased after someone. When everyone saw that the excitement had subsided, they began to disperse. Several young men were still staring at Qiao Muyue. Wu Chuanqin gave them a glare and then pulled Qiao Muyue in. Mom's mighty. Qiao Muyun shouted as soon as she entered the door. Wu Chuanqin glared at him and said, It's useless. Your sister is being bullied and doesn't know how to protect her. I can't hit women either. If it's a young man, I'll just copy the guy and do it. Qiao Muyun smiled and came up to give Wu Chuanqin a massage. Mom. I've worked hard, I'll give you a massage. Qiao Guiyun also smiled and said, It's hard work. Don't make dinner tonight, I'll do it. As he spoke, he rolled up his sleeves and began to wash rice. Wu Chuanqin gave his father and son a white glance and said, You too, father and son, knew you were deceiving me. Dad. I'll give you a hand. Qiao Muyue also started picking vegetables. The whole family was happily cooking. After finishing their meal, Wu Chuanqin washed the dishes. Seeing that it was getting dark outside, she took out a flashlight and said to Qiao Guiyun, Let's go. Your parents must have finished their meal by now. Let's go early and come back early. In the evening, I have to go and see Aunt Wu's side. Qiao Guiyun stood up and said, Okay. Qiao Muyue asked, Where are you going? Wu Chuanqin glared at Qiao Guiyun and said, It's not that your father and your breasts are going to divide the land. If I weren't afraid of your father's honesty, I wouldn't have gone with him. When it comes to this matter, Qiao Muyue knows that her grandparents have 3 brothers. The eldest, Qiao Guisong, is the father of the female lead Qiao Muxin, and the second, Qiao Guiyun, is also Qiao Muyue's father. Both of them are authentic farmers who have been living in Qiao's village. The third, Qiao Guishan, studied for several years and later obtained a teacher certificate, teaching at a school in the town. After the 3 brothers got married, they all split up, but the older couple, who are not young, can no longer do any work. Recently, they came up with a plan to divide the ancestral home and land, and have the 3 brothers pay for their living expenses every month in the future. The third party, because they have public meals, naturally does not want it and promises to provide a portion of support. The land and ancestral home will be divided between the first and second parties. Previously, regarding the allocation of ancestral homes, the first party took advantage of it, which made Wu Chuanqin very unhappy. Therefore, she must follow in this land allocation. I'll go take a look too. Qiao Muyue said. Wu Chuanqin shook his head and said, don't catch a cold this big night. Qiao Muyue shook her head and said, Mom. I've been sleeping for a while since I came back from the hospital. I just had dinner again. If I don't move a bit, maybe I won't be able to sleep at night. Wu Chuanqin thought for a moment and said, then follow along. What about you? Wu Chuanqin casually asked his own son. Qiao Muyin smiled and said, I made an appointment with the third son from the village to go to the mountain and see if we can catch a wild chicken. After listening, Qiao Guiyun scolded, I knew you were sneaking around. If you don't go find a class next month, I'll break your leg. Qiao Muyin let go and ran out. Qiao Muyue chuckled lightly. This brother is really uncertain, but he needs to calm down, otherwise he may be easily led astray by people in society. Forget it. Leave him alone for now. Wu Chuanqin said. Qiao Guiyun was also helpless. It was her daughter who was the most considerate to be really angry with this son. The three of them took advantage of the fact that the sky was not completely dark and walked towards their ancestral home. Qiao Muyue insisted on following in order to inquire about some situation. In theory, this kind of natural eye must be due to her ancestors. Qiao Muyue had secretly seen the faces of her parents, and they were not ordinary people with great wealth. So this time, she can go to her ancestral home and see if there are any clues. The three of them arrived at the ancestral home, and the old couple were already waiting in the main room. When they saw Qiao Muyue, Mrs. Qiao waved and said, Yue, come here. Here is the big white rabbit brought by your third uncle. Qiao Muyue smiled and called out, Master. Milk. In Qiao Muyue's impression, the elderly couple of the Qiao family are particularly kind and do not harass their three daughters-in-law, so their three sons and daughters-in-law are also considered filial. The elderly couple treat their grandchildren equally. Mrs. Qiao pulled out a palm-sized cloth bag from her pocket, which was tied in a bow. She carefully opened the bow, dug out the contents, and placed a few big white rabbit milk candies in it. This big white rabbit milk candy is also a rare item in this era, almost invisible in rural areas, so it may only be eaten for a while during festivals, and it is because Qiao Guishan, the third wife of the Qiao family, often gives away some things from the town. Try it sweet or not. Mrs. Qiao handed one to Qiao Muyue. Qiao Muyue took it, opened the paper packaging, and put it in her mouth. The milk flavor was very strong and sweet. She squinted her eyes and smiled, it's very sweet. You're so good. Mrs. Qiao smiled and said, here's another one for you, don't let your brother see it. She then took out another and stuffed it into Qiao Muyue's shirt pocket. Mom. Don't get used to her. Wu Chuanqin stepped forward and said. Mrs. Qiao didn't care at all and said, I'm used to it for my granddaughter. Old Qiao and Qiao Guiyun were laughing on the side. At this moment, a voice rang out in the yard. I heard my second brother and sister laughing outside. Is there anything good about it? Everyone looked over, and Qiao Muyue saw her Aunt Chen Chuiying and Uncle Qiao Guisong walking over, followed by a girl about the same age as Qiao Muyue, who was Qiao Muxin. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Land Division. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Land Division. Qiao Muxin knew that her parents and second uncle and aunt were coming to the milk house to share the land tonight. She didn't want to come at first, but when she went to find Qiao Muyue during the day, she didn't see her. She thought maybe Qiao Muyue would also come, so she came with the idea of giving it a try. Sure enough, as soon as I entered the door, I saw Qiao Mu's nest in the arms of milk. Big brother. Big sister. Law. Are you here? Wu Chuanqin greeted. Qiao Guiyun also called out big brother and big sister. Qiao Guisong and Chen Chuiying respectively called their parents. Xaner is here. There is a big white rabbit milk candy here, let me give you a try. Mrs. Qiao smiled and picked up a big white rabbit milk candy and handed it over. Qiao Muxin called out, Master. Milk. Upon seeing this, old Qiao said, since we're here, let's go into the main room and share some. As he spoke, everyone followed over. Qiao Muxin took the big white rabbit milk candy from Mrs. Qiao's hand and put it directly into her pocket. She had eaten enough of this thing in her past life, and it was so sweet that it became greasy. She glanced at Qiao Muyue and had to admit that she was truly worthy of being called Double Qiao alongside herself. Her eyebrows and eyes were clear, her skin was fair and delicate, and she was still shining under the lamp. If she waited for a few more years, she would definitely be even more beautiful. No wonder Sun Jincheng was so devoted to her. When she married that scumbag in her previous life, she heard that Sun Jincheng had never been married because she still thought of this girl. But she won't do it in this lifetime. She has a way to make Sun Jincheng forget about this girl. She has been reborn, and even if this girl doesn't die, it won't hinder her. What is cousin looking at? Qiao Muxin was thinking when she heard Qiao Muyue beside her ask her. She looked at Qiao Muyue for a moment and saw her eyes burning with excitement. Her agile and bright eyes seemed to be shining, trying to take a look at all her thoughts. The cinnabar mole between her eyebrows had a strange red color, making people feel uneasy. She instinctively avoided it and said, "It's nothing. I heard that Yue has fallen into the water, is her body okay?" "It's okay. It's much better now, you can go back to school in a few days." Qiao Muyue replied. Qiao Muyue felt a swelling in her eyebrows. As the female lead, Qiao Muxin was indeed remarkable. Her heavenly eyes vaguely saw another black shadow inside Qiao Muxin's body roaring, emitting resentment throughout her body. She knew that this was the reborn Yin energy. This Yin Qi resentment is too strong. Qiao Muyue hopes that Qiao Muxin will continue according to the original plot. In the original work, although Qiao Muxin did some exploitative things in order to seek revenge, she did not have much negative impact, so it is better to continue normally. If something goes wrong, it is unclear what consequences this Yin Qi will cause. Of course, Qiao Muyue doesn't want to provoke this cousin, nor does she want to interfere with her revenge. But if this cousin comes to provoke her, she doesn't mind giving her a lesson. The other party is just reborn, and she is someone who has read novels after rebirth, and knows more than she does. Talk to your sisters first. Go and talk to your parents first. Old Mrs. Qiao got up and walked to the hall. Qiao Muyue smiled and nodded. Qiao Muxin also responded, and when she saw Qiao Muyue with a smiling face, she felt particularly glaring. Yue doesn't blame me for Sun Jincheng's engagement, does she? After Qiao Muxin finished speaking, she carefully observed Qiao Muyue's expression, hoping to see something from her expression. The smile on Qiao Muyue's face remained unchanged. This has nothing to do with me. My family and the Sun family are not engaged either, it's just a joke. I don't like Sun Jincheng either. Don't mind, cousin. Qiao Muxin sneered in her heart, this fool, don't you like Sun Jincheng? That's when you don't know how awesome he will become in the future, and there are times when you regret it. She now hopes that this cousin won't die too early. After waiting for 10 years, she will regret it until her intestines turn blue. I feel relieved when I hear Yue say that. I've been worried about Yue getting angry. Qiao Muyue smiled. Just by looking at Qiao Muxin's face, she could guess what the other person was thinking. However, she didn't care at all. But this cousin's small and successful appearance really made her feel a bit aloof. When reading novels, she felt that her character was not very good, but reality became even more apparent. However, considering her past life was so miserable, she didn't argue with her anymore. Cousin, why don't you sit down for a while? I'll get up and walk around. I just had dinner and walk around to digest my food. After finishing speaking, Qiao Muyue stood up and walked along the ancestral home. It was said that this ancestral home has 100 years of history and was built by the ancestors of the Qiao family when they came to Qiao's village. It is ancient and fragrant, but it has been in disrepair for a long time and some areas have started to leak. In her memory, the three brothers of the Qiao family have always wanted to build a new house for the elderly to live in, but the elderly have always been unwilling, so they have been living in the ancestral home. Qiao Muxin watched as Qiao Muyue fled into despair, feeling proud in her heart. She knew that Qiao Muyue was pretending and clearly liked Sun Jincheng very much. Thinking of Sun Jincheng's tall and powerful appearance, he was much better than the scumbag in her previous life. Qiao Muxin happily got up and went to the main house to see her parents divide the land. She vaguely remembered that in her past life, when the second uncle's family divided the land, they had a very fertile piece of land, while their family only had two very poor pieces of land. Because they drew lots, her parents could only accept their fate. After returning home, they were angry for several days and even beat her up. Since it has been reborn, let's take that fertile land back to our own home without hesitation. Qiao Muyue carefully examined the location of her ancestral home over there, and could tell that she had found a good feng shui master to watch the feng shui. She sat facing north and south, became popular at the beginning, had no stove, no toilet, and no mirror. She silently nurtured her energy and settled down. The saying goes, when you enter the door, you will see red. There is no stove, no toilet, and no mirror. This means that it is best to see festive things when entering the door, and not directly see the stove, toilet, and mirror. This is all about feng shui, and the ancestral home of the Qiao family strictly adheres to this point. No wonder the three sons of the Qiao family have a harmonious marriage and a prosperous population. Qiao Muyue was a bit disappointed. It seemed that it had nothing to do with the ancestral house. Thinking about it, it was also right. If it had something to do with the ancestral house, it was impossible that only she had her own eyes open. There should be other reasons. Big brother. Which one do you really want? Did you draw lots or did Xianer draw lots in your family? Qiao Muyue heard the angry voice of her father Qiao Guiyun coming from the hall. She quickly walked a few steps to the main room, where Qiao Guiyun and Qiao Guisong were gathered around a table. Mr. Qiao and Mrs. Qiao were sitting on the kong, with several paper balls stacked in various shapes on the table. Father looked at the three members of Qiao Guisong's family with an angry expression on his face. Qiao Muyue quietly walked over and pulled her mother's hand, asking, "Mom, what's wrong?" Wu Chuanqin also had an angry expression on her face. Upon hearing her daughter's question, she briefly explained the situation. It turned out that Yinai had 6 acres of land, which were divided into 4 areas, 2 of which were 2 acres each, and the other 2 acres were divided into 2 areas. The 4 acres of land are all good, and it's meaningless for the 2 families to divide them equally. However, there are differences in the other 2 acres. One is fertile land at the foot of the mountain, and the other is relatively barren land on the mountainside. The elderly couple of these 2 acres are preparing for their brothers to draw lots, so they randomly stacked several paper balls. The one who caught the land first and drew a circle inside will get the fertile land, and the 2 brothers will grab it one by one. Just now, Qiao Guisong finished grabbing it, and it should be Qiao Guiyun's turn to catch it. However, Qiao Muxin caught one first. Coincidentally, that was the fertile land, which made Qiao Guiyun angry. This scene. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Cheating. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9 Cheating, Second Brother. Although it was my daughter who caught it, it can also be considered me who caught it. Besides, this is also luck. Qiao Guisong smiled, obviously feeling good after capturing this piece of land. Although we had agreed to take turns each time, if it weren't for Shiner catching that first, I would have wanted to catch that too. Qiao Guiyun's face didn't look good, and he was telling the truth. He was indeed planning to catch that, but he didn't expect his own niece to take the lead in catching it. Chen Chuiying was unhappy and said, "Uncle Heir's words are so coincidental. Don't you be jealous when my daughter captured this field." Wu Chuanqin immediately retorted, "Your family will first break the rules that your parents said, and then have a reason. That was also caught by our family." Chen Chuiying looked proud. Xiao Muyue took a deep look at Xiao Muxin and saw her innocent face standing there. She didn't believe in coincidence, she believed what her father said, so the only possibility was that Xiao Muxin remembered these details after being reborn, so she grabbed the lottery first. Although she read the novel, she didn't say these things in such detail. But judging from Xiao Muxin's appearance, it must be that the lottery in her previous life must have been taken by her parents, and in this life she has come to snatch it. Her expression was slightly cold, and the reborn Xiao Muxin's values were indeed not right. In her previous life, her parents did not harm her, and now they are doing such a thing that harms others and benefits themselves. "All right." Old Qiao said firmly, "That's all for now. Since it's Miss Xin who caught it and gave it to the boss's family, will your two brothers have a big fight over the same piece of land?" The old man spoke, and Qiao Guiyun felt helpless. He could only sigh and say, "I listened to my dad." Although Wu Chuanqin was not willing to accept it, she was also unwilling to let the whole family fuss over this land. After all, the Qiao family and her husband were really good to her. Qiao Guisong smiled and said, "That's settled." Xiao Muxin showed a proud smile on the side. "Go and get the land certificate." Old Qiao said to Mrs. Qiao. Mrs. Qiao responded and walked down the Kong towards the inner room. As she passed by Qiao Muyue's side, she said, "Yue, help me get the milk." Qiao Muyue nodded and helped Mrs. Qiao walk towards the inner room. Mrs. Qiao dug out a tin box containing cookies in the cabinet, opened the lid, and pulled out several land certificates from inside. Qiao Muyue knew that every land was registered now, and every piece of land had been measured and registered. This land certificate was replaced by the old land deed after the land reform, which was more formal and clear. Qiao Muyue curiously flipped through these land certificates and took a look at what the land that neither of the two families wanted was like. However, just taking a glance, Qiao Muyue laughed, as if she didn't recognize Jin Xiangyu. "Put this on. It's a talisman left by your grandmother." She said, "It's a talisman, but you're not in good health. This is just right for you." Mrs. Qiao took out her land certificate and dug out a small jade pendant inside the tin box. "Milk. This is yours, how can I take it?" Qiao Muyue quickly refused. Mrs. Qiao was a bit unhappy and said, "Why can't we take it? The boss's family is not behaving properly, so I'll leave this jade pendant milk for you." As he spoke, he forcefully thrust the jade pendant into Qiao Muyue's arms and said, "If you dare not, don't call me Nai when you come back." Qiao Muyue could only nod helplessly. She put away the jade pendant and helped old lady Qiao out of the inner room. Qiao Muyue returned to the main room without saying a word, so she obediently sat on the side. Mr. Qiao distributed the land certificate to his two sons and clearly wrote out 4 copies of monthly support expenses. The 3 brothers of the Qiao family each had 1 copy, and the elderly couple kept 1 copy. In addition, it also indicates that when the elderly couple really needs someone to take care of them, they will move to the 3 families in different months. The Qiao brothers have no objection to this, and Chen Chuiying and Wu Chuanqin have no objection. Qiao Muyue watched from the side, feeling a sigh in her heart. Although the 3 sons and sisters-in-law of the Qiao family all had some problems, they appeared to be harmonious on the surface and were also filial to the elderly. This shows that Yi and Nu are a fair and even person. Just now, Nai didn't have the chance to help her into the room. It was obvious that she wanted to compensate their family, so she gave her a jade pendant. However, Auntie's family values sons over daughters too much, otherwise Qiao Muxin wouldn't have died so tragically in her past life. After distributing everything, Qiao Guisong and his family were the first to leave with a smile, appearing like winners. Aunt Chen Chuiying always praised Qiao Muxin's good luck, having been good at her bazi since childhood. Qiao Muyue and her family left their old house. Along the way, Qiao Guiyun and Wu Chuanqin looked unhappy. Qiao Muyue smiled and took out the jade pendant from her arms, saying, "Mom and Dad. Don't be angry either. Milk still cares about our family." She took me to the inner room and gave me a jade pendant. She said it was left by Grandma. Qiao Guiyun and his wife looked over and saw their daughter holding a jade pendant the size of a thumb, with some exquisite patterns carved on it. The quality of the jade and the water head were good things at first glance. "How can you take your milk?" Qiao Guiyun immediately said. Wu Chuanqin didn't care and said, "Why can't we take it? The leader's family doesn't follow the rules, and at first glance, it's clear that Mom cares about our postpartum child." Qiao Muyue said, "Milk said, if I don't take it, I won't call her Milk in the future. Dad, do you think I can take it or not?" Qiao Guiyun sighed, which was also his mother's love for him. "Take it." Wu Chuanqin felt a little relieved in his heart. He had just been holding back a breath, and his mind was buzzing with anger. "It's still my parents' understanding. Your big brother's family is really." Qiao Guiyun nodded and said, "Anyway, I don't usually have any contact, out of sight and out of mind." Qiao Muyue smiled and said, "I read in a book that it's a blessing in disguise. I don't think that piece of land may be as good as ours. I know what kind of good land that land is. It's all solid soil, not soft at all, and it's very dry. It's not good for planting anything. I used to say that I couldn't plant trees, but they didn't even take root and died. I've been leaving it there all these years. What kind of good land is it?" Wu Chuanqin sighed, but since it was already the case, it was useless to think too much, and indeed he had divided 2 good plots of land. Qiao Muyue was amused in her heart. Of course, she couldn't grow crops anymore. She looked at the land certificate, the location marked on it, and the half of the mountain in her memory. Qiao Muyue immediately knew that it was a feng shui treasure land, but it was not an unowned feng shui treasure land. That field is filled with ram soil, which has been carefully compacted and compacted. It is tightly waterproof and not breathable, and anything planted will die. I have a premonition that there will be a surprise in that field. Dad, go flip through that field and dig deeper. Qiao Muyue said something, "This kind of thing cannot be fully explained, just click and stop." "Okay. Your dad and I have plenty of strength. Let's dig deeper and dig a well for our Yuer." Qiao Guiyun felt a lot of comfort in his heart because of the jade pendant given by his mother, and he also had the mood to joke. Wu Chuanqin said on the side, "Stop fussing, father and daughter. We need to go home quickly. Aunt Wu's hospital is not guarded at night, so I need to go over quickly. You can ride your bike to see me off later." Qiao Guiyun nodded. The family quickened their pace and hurried home. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. 3 Aunties. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. 3 Aunties. Along the way, Chen Chuiying was proud of her daughter's good luck, and Xiao Guisong was also in a good mood. When she returned home, Qiao Muxin said to Chen Chuiying, "Keep your money safe at home. Don't take it out for my dad to gamble. In a few days, there will be a happy event at Uncle San's place. Don't run out of money and borrow money everywhere to embarrass yourself." Qiao Guisong glared and said, "You stinky girl, how can you talk?" Qiao Muxin was not afraid and glared back directly. If it were in her past life, she would still be a bit afraid of this father, but now she is not afraid at all. Chen Chuiying also scolded with a look on her face, "You child, your father is going out for socializing." Qiao Muxin let out a heartfelt reminder that her mother didn't care, and she was too lazy to take care of it. It was better to earn her own tuition fees. After college, she would stay away from this family and be too lazy to pay attention to these parents. Then let me not say it. After finishing speaking, Qiao Muxin went straight into her room and locked the door. She remembered her past life. When her third uncle was going to treat her in a few days, she became the vice principal of Xianghe Town Central Middle School. Her father had lost all her money, so she didn't have any money to give gifts. In the end, she borrowed money from the village and lost her life. Chen Chuiying immediately cursed, "This dead girl, I don't know what's going on, she's become neither big nor small." Qiao Guiyun was too lazy to bother with the affairs of this dead girl. After rummaging through the boxes and cabinets in the inner room for a while, he went straight out the door. When Chen Chuiying came in to take a look, his money collection notebook was thrown on the bed, and he had nothing left. Qiao Muyue returned home and washed herself to sleep. In her sleep, she felt a warm sensation in her body, and the jade pendant on her chest emitted a warm light in the darkness. As soon as it was dawn, Qiao Muyue stretched lazily. After washing up and having breakfast, she saw Wu Chuanqin packing eggs into a bamboo basket. "Mom! What are you doing here?" Wu Chuanqin counted the eggs in the basket before giving her daughter a glare and saying, "Fortunately, it didn't bother me, otherwise I would have to count again." Qiao Muyue smiled. "Yesterday, there was another copy of the separation document from your third uncle. I will go down to the town to deliver it. Your third uncle and aunt are good to our family, and we happen to have a lot of eggs at home. I will bring some for them," said Wu Chuanqin. "Let's go together then," Qiao Muyue said. Wu Chuanqin thought for a moment and agreed, but happened to have a companion along the way. "After packing up the eggs, I picked some tomatoes and eggplants from the backyard. Although this thing is available in the town, Wu Chuanqin feels more at ease in his own land." The mother and daughter carried things and arrived at the tube-shaped building near Xianghe Central Middle School in the town. Qiao Muyue remembered that his third uncle Qiao Guishan was a teacher at Xianghe Central Middle School, and his third aunt Huang Lin was also a teacher at this school. The house in this tube-shaped building was allocated by the school, and the two of them had a child named Qiao Mulong. It should be the first year of junior high school now. Nowadays, primary school is a 5-year program. Without kindergartens, junior high school is a 2-year program, and high school is a 2-year program. Both Qiao Muyue and Qiao Muxin are in their first year of high school and will be preparing for the college entrance examination next year. However, the original owner often took leave due to poor health, and her grades have never been good or bad. Thinking of this, Qiao Muyue looked desperate and even pointed to the opportunity to increase her education. Knocking on the door of Uncle San's house, it was Qiao Mulong who opened the door. Seeing Qiao Muyue and Wu Chuanqin, he called out second sister and second auntie. "Xiaolong has grown taller again," Wu Chuanqin said with a thud. "Qiao Mulong is 13 years old this year, and it is time for him to grow up. The last time we met was a month ago," so Wu Chuanqin was a bit surprised. "Second sister Law is here." Huang Lin poked her head out of the kitchen. "Second sister Law, wait for me. I'll wash this bowl first." The father and son don't even know how to tidy up after they finish eating. Wu Chuanqin said to the guest, "It's not urgent." "It's not urgent." Huang Lin was also a quick-witted person. She quickly packed up and walked out. When she saw Qiao Muyue behind Wu Chuanqin, she immediately became enthusiastic and said, "Yue has also come. It's been a long time since she came to see San Auntie. San Auntie misses you." "Hello Aunt San." Qiao Muyue obediently called out. Watching Qiao Muyue's obedient and clever appearance, Huang Lin's heart was about to melt. She stepped forward and pulled Qiao Muyue, turning her head and glaring at her own son, saying, "Your second aunt and second sister are here, but I don't know how to pour a glass of water. There are also 2 apples to wash, just like wood. Hurry up. Qiao Mulong, who was doing his homework, stood up impatiently and went to pour water for the two of them. Huang Lin immediately smiled and greeted Qiao Muyue and Wu Chuanqin to sit down. She looked at Wu Chuanqin carrying eggs and vegetables, and immediately looked at him with a reproachful expression, saying, "Come on, come on. What are you doing with these? It's so good to leave them for Yuer to eat. Look at Yuer losing weight." Wu Chuanqin. Where are you losing weight? Her daughter has been gaining weight recently. Qiao Muyue also smiled awkwardly. These three aunts were indeed too enthusiastic, but it can be understood that they particularly liked girls and had always wanted to have a daughter. However, they did not expect to have only Qiao Mulong, a boy, and did not achieve their wish. And Qiao Mulong is like being raised by his stepmother. He has been treated like a daughter since childhood and even wears a small skirt and braids. This has become a psychological shadow. A few years ago, Aunt San had been wanting to have another daughter, but there has been no news for many years, so she gave up. These are all my own things, and I still have them at home. I thought you could buy them in the town, but they definitely didn't have the freshness you planted at home, so I brought some over, said Wu Chuanqin. You're here at the right time. We'll have lunch here at noon, and there's no class in the morning. Huang Lin took the things, although they weren't worth much, she was also happy in her heart. Don't eat any more. I just came to deliver things, and I will have to go back to serve the two uncles at home later. Wu Chuanqin said, obviously complaining about Qiao Guilin and Qiao Muyun's father and son. Speaking, take out the separation document and hand it to Huang Lin. Qiao Guishan and Huang Lin have mentioned the matter of separation before, and she has no objection to the specific division and support. After all, the elderly couple usually do not receive their care, so they do not need anything at home. Huang Lin glanced at the things and put them away before saying, "You must eat. It's rare for Yuer to come, you must eat. Otherwise, I'll be angry, Aunt San." Wu Chuanqin could only reluctantly agree, "Stinky kid. Why haven't you washed an apple for a long time?" Huang Lin shouted to Qiao Mulong in the kitchen. Qiao Mulong walked out with 2 washed apples and said, "Here we go. Auntie 2, Sister 2, eat apples." This apple was brought by colleagues from Guishan and they said it was brought back from Qiao. They all said that Qiao's apples are good, cut in half and won't change color for half a day. I ate one very sweet. There are still a few at home, let Yuer bring 2 back home to eat. Huang Lin smiled and said, "Thank you, Aunt San." Qiao Muyue was eating an apple in her mouth, and in the afterglow, she saw something that made her face slightly change. Why did this thing come here? End of this chapter.